Ripple has a problem, I think. They're just
just another. So that's really interesting, I think, and it's becoming really present to everyone.
Yeah.
Recently, there was a bit of a challenge with DeFi. There was this money. I guess there was this hack. It was a pretty sizable hack.
Which one was it?
The Kelp ETH hack. The restaked Kelp.
Oh yeah.
They put it on Aave. They borrowed against it. Created all this bad debt.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your thoughts on that these things can happen, right? So that's sort of a pretty. That's like a kind of a money printing thing, really.
Tremendously,
but done by an
maliciously.
with like someone who's actively trying to mess with the system.
Yeah.
And then you've got this idea, of building this new financial system and bringing it all into, with crypto rails and things like that.
Yeah.
Is that the trade here? That one has like got inflation and these people with doing money printing, but the other side's got like bad actors that can actually really mess the system.
Finalize the bad actor. Yeah. Well, so there's no. You're 100%. I reckon you're 100% spot on, because that is why would I use my bank or these other traditional for the comfort and recourse. So recourse is the word, I reckon, which is if things fuck up with I sent the money. Well, it doesn't matter. I didn't care. I call the bank. The money shows up back in my account, and they literally. So every time you put a credit card down to buy anything, any specific payment method, whether it's credit card, PayPal, Venmo, anything. It all has, because to become a payment method on the payment networks, you must have recourse policies. And so when I buy something with my credit card, I literally have 180 days to say, I didn't buy that, prove it. And then the bank will go, okay, we'll send you an affidavit, sign it. And you go, yep. And then money will be back in your account straight away. That's safety net. So, it's like, I left my car in a cab and now all these like Uber Eats charges are coming up, or eBay or whatever the fuck it is, right? Someone steals your card or skims it or something. That safety, though, is we've gotten used to that as a species. Comforts, insurance policies, backups. There's no raw dog. Like basically, crypto is raw dogging it. Like for lack of a better term, but there's no recourse, and so you need to be. It forces you to sort of have your own self-defense awareness, sort of thing. It doesn't mean you don't need to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu to walk down the street of crypto, but you need to be like, I'm not going to walk down the dark alley. That's bad, because I might get mugged because it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday night and there's been 1,000 reported murders from that dark alley. So it's sort of like it teaches you, it forces you to grow up in a way. So, it forces you to realize I need to be super careful. I need to be very diligent, because there's nobody to call. There's no customer service. There's nothing. And it's so without having that undo button, it forces you to be more intentional. I actually think it's a really good thing, because it's slowing us down. It slows us down at a pace we need to be at, which is present with every step, instead of, just give me the thing, click the buttons. That fast forward motion is very, like we were talking about before, like very dopamine-y, very like 2026 brain rot vibe, like just do it, don't think, give it now. But crypto forces that slowdown. And I actually think it's a healthy slowdown, because when you slow down, it'll teach you actually to think, and you stop and think, because I'm not even joking. We do so much autonomously now. I have so many things, auto suggestions in apps, auto suggestions in food recommendations, algorithms. When we have to make decisions and think, it's actually it's a less common thing than we'd actually think.
Yeah, so like it used to be.
I think there's a demeanor that it's like just slows you down, in a way. So, but it is scary, and you will pay a tuition. So anyone, I paid a tuition, I'm sure Fred's paid tuition, everyone's paid their tuition. Yeah. You'll make mistakes, but it's one of those like, I can't be bothered learning to ride a bike. All your friends are going to be riding bikes. Just take the L now. Yeah. Pay your tuition now. Figure it out. Do your homework. Plus, like, if you're going to have your kids won't have bank accounts. Yeah. Like, that's not even no, that won't.
Well, I think it's really interesting, where that promise is and that adoption now. I think there's like a lot of debit cards, a lot of stablecoins movement. Real serious adoption. Like USDT's the third biggest coin. USDC is the sixth. It's like
USDT is massive, and the stablecoin. But look at the trading volume. It's like the number one, like one of the biggest trading pairs, if not the biggest, next to Bitcoin.
Has to be.
It has to be. And so USDT, there's a brewing example. So USDT, right, the stablecoin. We think of like, oh, what's the cool financial products? It's like, well, some people, they just want a US dollar.
Yeah.
They don't want their parent currency or whatever.
I guess what I'm fascinated by, but there are some projects like I'm interested in, what is your view of Ripple? If that was supposed to be a replacement for Swift.
Yeah.
And you've got USDT right next to it and USDC.
Yeah.
Where does that sit and why is that still a thing?
Yeah, Ripple's had a hard time over time to kind of get where they wanted to go. They've been around forever. They've been real. There's a great example. They've got all the money, all the gear and no idea in a way. And like we had a lot of relationships with Ripple at Wyre because we were doing essentially what they wanted, which is a new Swift network. So we weren't between the banks, we were between all the exchanges and using crypto infra. And they were like, that was the exact same design they wanted, but ours sort of developed organically just from offering a service, as where they were kind of trying to push it. And I think one of the problem is Ripple, the token, the distribution of it has been kind of curvy. The execution and the protocol, it doesn't work with everything else. Like they're trying to do this, like, you know, if I'm them, you want to always, when you're building for developers, it's the developer is the customer. It's not, here's our protocol. It's no, what do you want out of us to make this the easiest thing for you and your engineering team to talk to? And so I think Ripple didn't capitalize enough on the directions they were going. And so they lost to things like ERC20, for example, which came in and said, oh, everyone's on the Ethereum network now because you can make a stablecoin in 2 seconds. And Ripple didn't have that. They had a lot of corporate opportunity where they could get into bed with BBVA and, you know, all these big banks and stuff for pilots, which is great for, you know, moving excitement. But it's easy to make the token go up, but not capture value. Do you know what I mean? Like that, those headlines.
Why is it? It's like the 4th biggest coin. Why do you think it still has that level of value?
Because they have got an exceptional marketing over the years, and they've built. Firstly, well, there's a couple of things. One is because people want it because it's so cheap. And if it's got the reputation, so, Ripple's been around since 2012 and da-da-da. So they look, well, what's been around for ages? Bitcoin, Ethereum, this, and they go, okay, well, what's still here that's cheap? Oh, Ripple's super cheap. And then that creates a really big narrative that can be peddled to people that aren't studying or aren't reading deeply. Here's the fun fact. I don't think many people know this, but you know Justin Sun, Tron, right? So Justin Sun, I think he was the first hire at Ripple in China. There we go. So Ripple expanded into China. Yeah, and Justin Sun, they've got a term for it in China, but it means basically like prodigy. And so he started, I think it was like an Instagram-y style app or something like that. And he was called it's got like JJ or some term that means post-90s baby, meaning super young but super prodigy-like. And he was the first person, but what Ripple was doing, they were basically, you know those people where they say the XRP army, and they're like, oh, it's just all bots? No, they actually did a massive distribution campaign where they gave everyone Ripple, apparently, like heaps in all these villages in China. Tons of people got Ripple, and it was like, you know, 1 cent, 2 cent, they're giving around like candy. They're like, you know, this is an opportunity, this can go really big, pump your bag. And so now you've got this army of people, they're not bots. They're like, oh, yo, you're messing with my uni fees, like kind of thing in a way. But all these kind of strategies were started. But yeah, Justin Sun, I think, was one of the first ones. But Ripple has a problem, I think. They're just, the branding and the product value is in the eye of the beholder. So that's one thing. Just like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you might think that girl's stunning. I might be like, oh, I don't like brown hair, I like blonde hair, or I like red hair or something. It's just everyone's got a taste. Same thing with value. So like when we talk about like, well, what is the value that it gives now? It's like store of value is a value prop for people. It wasn't 10 years ago as much as it is now when we're like, well, hang on, how much is inflation now? They're printing how much money? So it's sort of it changes, you know, with the seasons, I suppose. But Ripple I think they just tried to force it too much and made it almost like uncool. I don't know how to, you know, like some things just, they're not cool. I don't know. It's like in the world of cool, like let's say Bitcoin's like, oh, open this, cypherpunks that, you know, this big energy mining, like that's cool. It's new. It's exciting. It's hype. It's like, oh, we're the same guys, but we all wear suits. It's like, you know, well, I mean, I'm not that excited. Like, I was like, oh, you're doing the suit technology. It's like the guy coming out, like Willy Wonka coming out and being like, there's this thing called the internet. And you're like, what is it? It's like every answer you could ever imagine. All of it right there. Every movie, everything. And the other guy comes along, he says, hi, I'm William Wonka the third. And you're like, hey, what's up? And he's wearing a suit and stuff. And you're like, yeah. And he goes, well, we've all of these corporations, News Corp, Globo Corp, the New York Times, BBC Media, we've made an intranet for you to gather all the information you'd like. You're like, this just feels dumb. Like, you know, like in your head, when you're getting pitched that, it's not like Willy Wonka's factory. It's more like going to the pig slaughter factory or something. You know, like it feels sooty and contractual, and it's like
interesting calling it the pig slaughter factory.
Well, yeah, you know, something like that. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm always going to the slaughter.
I'm baffled. I don't understand that. A company. It started in 2012. How is a company in 2012 that wants to replace Swift and not done it?
Never done it. Never executed. Never done anything.
And still people still buy it, and they sell their token every month.
Yeah, it's a greater fool theory. So it's just like trying to find people that haven't figured something out yet. It's like, oh, well, you can still get them with it. Like, and because the penetration rate for crypto is tiny, right? Like, let's see, in terms of population, the internet, which everyone has, it's everywhere. I've been to, you know, a remote village in Kenya and they've got a Starlink. That's at 61% adoption. Like, when you think about global adoption, like that is only at 61%. That's wild when I think about that. Yeah. So when crypto, like basically how's Ripple lasted so long? I'll tell you exactly how they've lasted so long. Firstly, they keep selling tokens. Who's buying them? The person who reads the narrative. Oh, BBVA might be integrating it. It might be going to $6 if Bank of America does a pilot. And that's all. It's just this constant upkeep, right? Like you just sort of, oh, fuck. You need a new bit of bait because there's no value. So when there's like this is what I mean by like, what's the term? Something value, perceivable value, ingrained value, some term of value. I can't remember.
Perceived value?
It's like Bitcoin has no inherent value, or it's no commodity value. It's like tangible. It's like because it's a metal, it's physically valuable or something. Anyway, but they haven't captured any value because they haven't built anything meaningful. And most of the strategy for Ripple was pay to play. So they'd go around to the big exchanges and say, can you please like work with us? And everyone's like, all your stuff doesn't work with anyone else's stuff, because Ripple is a whole new language. If I wanted to integrate Ethereum as an exchange operator or, you know, a market maker or anything, if I want to integrate Ethereum, I bake that in, I get 3,000 tokens out of the standard. Like, so, or because everything on Ethereum is running on the ERC20 standard,
sure,
I get all that liquidity opportunity. If I'm an exchange, trading volume, oh, sure, wow, look at all those tokens. But if I integrate Ripple, I get what? A check from you guys once a month and some Ripple that's locked for 6 months, and my developers hate me because they've never used this before and it doesn't work with anything else and it's a special treatment. It's kind of like having to create a whole new entry to your building.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm baffled by is, regardless of that, it's still
here.
It's still what, the fourth biggest token.
Yeah, and I would...
Does that ever end? How could it end?
Well, here's the thing. Ripple is basically like the closest thing to like I'd sort of put it in like a propaganda machine almost. Like where it's like, it's not adding value. The team knows it's not adding value. The developers know it's not adding value. And if they do, then they just need more education. But it's not, and I don't say that insultingly. I say that it's very easy to get into a hive mind of stuff when you're on the ship getting excited. But yeah, it will be there for a very long time, I would say, because they have an incentive to keep it there. And they have a war chest, remember. So like a lot of these people that are raising money, they're very smart. Some of them are very smart. Some of them are very silly. But take EOS, for example. EOS, they did a huge raise.
$8 billion extraction.
Massive, right? They bought, the first thing they did, what do they do with it? Bought Bitcoin. Yeah. Do you know who one of the largest holders in the world now? EOS. Do you know how much code they've shipped? Why would I? You've already finished the game. You know, we're building this to change people's lives, to do this. Cool, we made all the money, I'm over it. Yeah, motivation just, I'm gone. And so that's why it's like, you got to stay hungry. Too much money. And that was one of the biggest things that I think fucked a lot of the development in the the crypto space was too much money too early. So the founders weren't passion focused. They weren't mission focused. They were mercenaries. So missionaries versus mercenaries. And when you get all the money, you start getting all the tools for free. So your mission sort of fades into the background and you become this sort of soldier to execute, as where the missionaries are the ones that they're there rain, hail or shine. They're not there because it's popular this week. They're not there because it's always the cool thing. They're diehards, like, you know, and you can probably name 10, 20, 30. I mean, look at you and I, we're still here after 10 years of banging our head against the wall. Like, there's these people that they just like it, and there's other people that are trying to grift. And I think Ripple, like, and I don't like knocking them because I know they've been around forever, and anyone being around for that long is trying to give a shit to some degree. But yeah, I think Ripple needs to, they need to sort of go and add value. That's what everyone does. Because if you're not adding value, and I say it literally, whatever it is, just add value. And that's, you don't need to be the everything machine. You don't need to offer all the features. Just find that thing that people are really concerned about, that they flock to crypto for. Yeah. And maybe that's, whether that's lending, whether that's an interest rate, whether it's just, we just don't print any more supply. Great, perfect. I want to keep my money in that. Yeah. And these very simple things, but you've got to, because it's a distributed system, crypto in general, and there's no like leader, you've got to be very specific about doing one thing really well to execute. And so when you try and kind of overhaul everything, it makes it really challenging. That makes sense. You know, when you use any crypto interaction, sorry, one sec, but when you use any crypto interaction, you're very intent. I go to them for borrowing. I go to them for interest or savings or yield, or, you know, you're walking around like you go to Woolworths to buy that, but you go to Baker's Delight to get your bread, and you go to the bank to deposit money or whatever it is. Like, everyone's got a purpose, but when in distributed systems, if you're trying to be a product for someone, you have to have a purpose, because you've got to be the expert at that thing, whatever it is. I don't know, but yeah.
I think this is interesting, you know, bringing that all together. I think, you know, you had obviously this deal. It was a very challenging time.
Yep.
You obviously worked through all of that as well. Yeah. What I'm interested in now is, like, you've come back to Australia. You've stayed in Australia for quite a while now as well, which has been great.
Yep.
What's the next thing for you? Like, what are you seeing? What are you passionate about?
Yep. Okay, so really? Okay, like, actually, like, in the weeds here. So, dude, I am hooked. So one of the biggest things that crypto has ever given me is time back. So, like, it's less like, you know, now it's like, you know, when you wake up and you've got 40 hours of your week already occupied, you didn't put them there, that's your work week, right? You've got to go to work and stuff. But if you can make that 15 hours a week, but forget the financial part, but you work 15 hours a week, what do you do with that other 25? It's like, you get a whole new, it's like having a baby or something with yourself, where you get a whole new version of yourself to, who am I without the cortisol, without all the time of like, go, got to be on this, when I can just think. So lately, dude, I've been loving this heaps, but studying maths puzzles. So I know it sounds stupid, but like building an exchange and all this stuff with like security and cryptography, you start thinking, like, if you build an exchange, right, we had like $5 or $10 billion in assets under management. That's a lot. That's a bank. And so it's like, but it's a bank that doesn't need a gun. It just needs a person smarter at programming than you to get in. And so you're constantly looking, like, checking every screw that's tied around the vault, and you're really paranoid. So for me, the biggest paranoia I had was like, well, these cryptographic primitives, like, you know, what if people can break into our stuff using better mathematics than the cryptography? So that's what led me to that. I was sort of like, well, if I get time, that's a piece that I'd love to dig into. And so I like the objectivity of maths. So I like, dude, I mean, I was literally almost got sent to the English as a second language class for at school. You know, you've got like, so at school we've got all these, like, you know, times where there's a group of kids that are the Korean, the Chinese and the Japanese kids, and they go to what's called ESL, which is English as a second language. My English was so bad, my book reviews, my comprehension was so bad, I basically almost got sent to that with like Terry and Jimmy Wong and stuff. They're nice guys, but I felt like I could speak English okay. Apparently I couldn't. But that's why maths for me, I was like, best. Yes, no. Right, wrong, binary, input, output, whatever. It's a finality to it. And so it's not like, it might be okay. And it's like, oh, maybe someone might like this thing. It's like, no. This is just a problem that is not solved, and it's a puzzle basically. And so if you like it, or you just find it like interesting, dude, I literally, it's so geeky, but like actual pornography for me right now, like a day of like life porn is literally sitting down with like a charged PlayStation controller, playing like an hour of Fortnite, and then doing like 6 hours of maths and maybe having a gummy at the end, something like that. But that's fun. Like that's mad. I'm being honest.
There's a lot of
being rude.
And there's a lot of innovation, I think, in going back to those fundamentals of the maths, in particularly where crypto came from.
Yeah.
I think we could go into all sorts of different things, so I'm just mindful. I think the last question I'd love to ask is, if you were to go back, there's another 22-year-old probably watching right now. They're sitting in their bedroom, they're say $200 or like, and they've, they're like, what do I do? I think at one point you were running with Spider-Man outfits on around doing dry cleaning, which is sick.
Dude, right? That's what we were doing to get the bills paid. That was so funny.
Sick.
Yeah.
But if you're going to give them one thing,
that's old school. That's good.
What could you tell them right now?
Persistence and patience. That's what I would say. Everyone wants, and this is part of the nature of where we are now with this apathy, where people go, look, I'm just going to put it all on red, and if it wins, goes. If not, I'm broke and I'm back to whatever. It was going to be that way anyway. So that like level of, what's the point? Yes, it might be like, oh, all my friends have already made it. I'm too late. Firstly, you are not too late. And I know this sounds like, it's been 10 years. No. Guys, this shit is meant to be for 100 years. You're looking at like the Colosseum getting built. We're just lucky we're like the people building it right now. But the goal, these are persistent, immutable, unbreakable systems. Do not think you're too late. You're never too late to learn, because it is like you'll be a new human once you learn all this stuff. And it's not like you got to go to class. Just try, just tinker with it. Watch a YouTube clip, you're good on you for tuning in. You're watching this, which is a start, so you're getting educated. Like, that's the thing. You just got to give yourself a chance, because everyone is smart, everyone is talented, everyone is brilliant. But obviously, we're not all brilliant at doing the same thing. Sitting in an office, a concrete office with no sunlight for 40 years. That's not for everyone. So people out there, like, yes, some people might be already further ahead than you are. Do not measure yourself against them. It's up to you and your goals, whatever your goals are. But I think also the reason why the patience is important, and you're actually probably luckier if you're getting in now, is because set a goal. The biggest problem that I've seen is people that don't have a definition of enough. And what I mean is, when you say, oh, how much, what's the goal? More. And a lot of these guys, Wall Street actors, more. And that sounds cool. Like more, oh, I want more money. Oh, no, more cars, more. That's cool. But the reality is, being on the hamster wheel is not cool. Having control and ownership of your time is the coolest thing possible. So it's like, have a definition of enough and sort yourself out with a plan. Now, if you're young and 20 and 22 or whatever, the reason why I'd say focusing on crypto as a savings tool, right now, if I start saving, let's say I'm 22 years old, and I'm like, okay, I've got some saving, I've got 10 grand, been busting my ass at the pub, finishing up uni, about to get a proper job now, what am I gonna do? Keep saving, because right now, everything is changing so quickly. 3 years ago, a graphic designer was valuable. Today, they're less valuable because of Claude. Pick something that will last you a long time. If you try and save for a home now, in 10 years or 15 years time or whatever it is, right? So when my parents bought a home in the 70s or 60s, 70s, it was 4 times the annual income of a household. Now, that means I'll start saving. 4 years later, we can start looking at a deposit. Now it's 20 to 22 times. Now, I'm not saying for the world, I'm saying at least in Sydney, Australia, or New South Wales, whatever. So a kid that's 20 or 22, he's going to be like, 22 years, fuck. What's going to happen? If 22 years, it could get worse than 22 years. In 5 years' time, it might be, it's up from 22 to 45 now. And this guy is saving money for this house that he buys when he's 97 in a deathbed. Like, that's kind of the can gets getting kicked down the road. So the reason I would say to just start in crypto as your store of wealth, because it's predictable. That's one thing you don't have to think about ever again. This is a fixed path forever. So Bitcoin supply, for example, I know what it is. I know what it is tomorrow. I know what it is the next day. There's nothing that can come between. So if I'm saving for something now, like let's say it was a house, and I know that the house will never, ever, ever change price, I can start saving now. I can put all my eggs in one basket. I can look the photos of the house. I can think about the renovations I'm going to do when I save money. But I can't do that now. As a young kid, I'd feel disheartened if I'd worked my whole life. And like you've got a lot of 30-year-olds now that have finished uni. They've been grinding for, 8 to 10 years of their life with a uni degree. They're not even close to a home because they're like, rent's chewing me up. Petrol.
Gotta take risks.
Dude, you got to take these risks. And right now, the biggest risk I would say is one, doing nothing. And the second biggest risk is, taking no risk is the biggest risk. But the second biggest risk is not being patient. Now, like just picking your horse and backing it, but make sure your horse can't change between now and the end. And so that's why, like, for instance, with mathematics, the reason I'm choosing maths to like focus time on, no one can change it. No one's coming and being like, hey, we got a new update to maths. Sorry, it doesn't integrate with English language anymore. That'd be devastating. The same way it's like, hey guys, sorry, new houses, there's a premium on them because of whatever. And like all these variables that as a young person, I'm already stressed. We talked about it. This is a terrible stat to say, but one of the biggest things for kids right now, young males, number one group for suicide, because they're like, I don't know where to go. I don't know. There's no North Star. I can't hold on to anything for a long amount of time or no one to talk to. That's heartbreaking, but like so much of that comes back to financial stuff. I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not going to earn enough. And people see all these big swing dicks and heroes that are like, yeah, you got to have this and this and this. Like, these coaches and stuff that you see with like, they're like, rise and grind, 3 a.m., get out of bed, 6 hours of journaling and stuff. And I like early mornings. I like hustling and shit. I'm the same. But there's a degree where you got to go, all right, I know that all this is going to change. Know that they're in an ephemeral situation. It's all like, today won't look like 3 years from now, and today doesn't look like 3 years ago.
I think it's, start and be persistent at it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Truly, I think that's the message people need because not much is motivating people for a long-term outlook at the moment. Everything's dopamine-y, everything's now, everything's quick hit, quick fix, shortcut summary. We got to get our hands dirty, get that mud under the fingernails kind of thing. Play the long game. Play the long game. That's what I'd say.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Michael Dunworth, thank you so much for joining us.
Dude.
Been amazing.
Love seeing you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks, guys.